Everybody cool?
Oh, it's
Yes,
red.
ma'am. Would you please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Beth. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Well, tonight it's a quiet room,
Yeah.
and that's good, right? So we're going to start right in with Mitzi. You're top of the list. You're first.
Feeding my face and everything else. So I think a couple of the big things, you guys can see this. I think one of the best features of the new website now, as we know, there are issues with the website because we wanted to roll it out. So we rolled over most of all the documents from the previous one, and we're fixing as we figure it out. We want the principals to be comfortable. We want everybody to be comfortable with, kind of live with it for a little while. But the contact us form has been really great. We've had I've made 77 contacts just through the form on the website. And we've tweaked it. We found out that they were a little more receptive if we actually put a little place where they could talk, kind of get something either out of their system or whatever. And I know Steph, I forwarded some things to her, some other things, and I feel like they've been very kind and thank you for reading this, thank you for getting back to us. So that's been a real neat feature of the website. Yes. And I'm getting, because I didn't know as much, and so I'm starting to be like, okay, it's a transfer student. So I kind of copy and paste what I've said to others. You need this and that. And I think it's a nice way to reach out because it's not intimidating. You can type. And so anyway, so that's been a nice feature. There's some other features if you guys kind of look around. Parent Square's been new, and I think we've got all the bugs worked out, and I feel like, when I say all the bugs worked out, that's not true. We have a lot of bugs worked out on our end, and I think we're finally kind of doing things, Steph, we kind of passed this where we're getting parents to really be like, oh, wow, it's that easy. Yeah, it is that. It's like you want, what's the catch? It isn't. So, we're working through these things. There's going to be, and we're just directing, Parent Square questions can come to me, and we're just talking them through it. So far, I felt like we've had great interactions with families right now. Google PPC is brand new, and I put a little definition if you read it, because quite frankly, it's confusing to me. But the document that I had attached kind of gave some neat data, and so we tweak keywords. I don't even know the keywords they're using. Marion County, Indianapolis. But when people come and they search Beech Grove schools, a big preschool. Preschool is a big word right now that we're finding. And I would say a good chunk of my correspondence, maybe 30-40%, is asking about our preschool program.
Wow.
So it's neat because then the next month she'll be like, okay, these search engines. And it's something about we're using that grant money to kind of buy ads and to get us at the top of the search engine. And I think it takes a little bit of time, but to get us at the top best that we can. It's a whole technology that to me, a billboard I can see, and I'm like, yeah, that's beautiful. This I can't see, and I have to kind of trust the process and trust the people that understand it. So right now, these are just some different, things we're working on. And that billboard, did you guys see the one by Lowe's? I don't know why I love that one just so much. Something about coming up Emerson and
you can see
and
that
it's
hornet.
just, I thought it was going to be on the other side, and I just really love that it. So.
Worked out great.
And I may have gotten a little excited and maybe ran a red light trying to videotape it. And it would be actually proof on my phone too is the worst part, but I loved it.
They look good.
Yeah.
And just a point for public that might be watching, I had one question from a community member about if taxpayer dollars were paying for those billboards, and just if anyone's watching, we want you to know that these billboards have been 100% funded by the TSL grant, so federal grant dollars that are allocated for this purpose of communications and marketing our district. So we're thrilled
and
for
all
that.
these things, hopefully, the Google PPC, that's coming out of this. The goal right now is to use that grant money what we have for as much sustainability as possible. Not things that are just going to disappear.
Right.
So the branding, the love where you learn, love where you live, that type of thing. We've got, there's just different things that we know will be long-term. Obviously, there's some short-term things as well. But the long-term things, especially this last grant cycle, we're really trying to hit that we can make the biggest impact to stay, that we don't lose.
Gotcha. Thanks, Mitzi. Ryan?
I gave you just kind of an update on the personnel where we are with hiring. That changed just a little bit. We had a resignation yesterday, teacher. So we did have a resignation yesterday for the teacher, so we do have an additional teacher at South Grove to fill. But you can see what we still have and we're looking for. Now, some of those are in the process of being filled currently, and the principals are ready to make some recommendations for some of those positions. Just wanted to alert you that Garrett's here tonight, Mr. Daniel, to talk a little bit about academic eligibility and the requirements we have for our athletes and the support systems that we have in place. I think that was a request that the board had, so he and I worked a little bit on that. He put together a nice presentation to share with you tonight and to kind of open that discussion. And then the only other thing I had is just, if you have been getting any questions, we've gotten a few about whether breakfast and lunch will be free again next year. And the parents will be getting a letter. That's a requirement if you're participating in CEP. We've waited just a little bit because we've been trying to get some guidance on whether the free and reduced lunch forms actually are tied to any other federal funding. Surprised we can't get any answers from the IDOE. That's kind of frustrating. I don't feel like we've gotten a lot of guidance there. So we're going to go ahead and ask parents and kind of do a campaign to try to get them to fill those forms out in case it is tied to some funding that we're not aware of. So
Wasn't that used for free or reduced textbooks
Yes, that's a great point.
Yeah.
in
So,
the past?
and now that everything has changed with textbook rental and fees, the guidance that is super limited that we have received, I feel for the Department of Education. They've been placed in a situation where they're trying to sort out how this is all going to look. But because we will no longer have textbook rental and fees, then that has now even been removed, right? But the document that we are, that we typically use for our free and reduced eligibility, on it has textbook eligibility as
right.
well. So since we believe that the fees that we are allowed to assess, that we cannot assess those fees with our free and reduced families. So we believe that we would still need that content, that data, to know if we do have these fees. But we don't know yet. So we are just proceeding as normal, and we're going to have the forms go out. We're hoping to get good return rates on those forms, but it's probably going to be a little bit of a struggle, right? Because if it's not tied to textbooks, and if it's not tied to, because everyone is receiving free breakfast and lunch, then there's not motivation, to get those forms in. So we've been tossing around some incentive ideas, ways in which we can get some interest, maybe a giveaway. We're thinking about all sorts of things to try to get those forms turned in. If, because it's not even confirmed yet, if those forms are tied to percentage rates, right?
I would shove them in every person's hand at back to school night.
We are, yeah, absolutely. It's part of the registration packet.
Well,
Well, I know it's part of the online
Yeah.
packet, but as they're walking in
Yeah.
to meet their teachers and dropping off their
Great point.
school supplies, I
Yeah,
would
we'll
shove
have all that,
one
yeah,
in
yeah.
there.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and that's
great.
what we'll do.
Yeah.
And I'm not, I agree with Dr. Hammack. I think the IDOE is just also struggling with, they have to work through all this too. So I don't know that they know the answers. I asked them if if we could create a writable form,
Right.
and an electronic signature would be sufficient so that we could do it, online. I think we get a lot better response that way.
Really
But
helpful.
Right.
Yeah.
it's been a few days, I haven't gotten a response from them. They may not know the answer to that, because if you look at the form, it does say it's supposed to be filled out in pen. So they may not know the answer.
Well, I mean, anything that we can get back to offset
Yeah,
that.
And we're not
almost
exactly sure what it's
$50,000
tied to.
that's right.
But anyway, the parents will be getting that letter. There's been a few questions about it. They'll get that here in the next few days. That'll just say that breakfast and lunch is free.
The last 6 or 7 weeks since the state has been nothing but trying to figure out what all they passed.
Oh, I'm sure.
I'm sure.
And
There's
how
so
it affects
much.
your agency and what forms need updated and,
Oh, good luck with
and
that.
what pings off that to that.
Yep.
And did we remember to hit that one? It's
That's
every agency.
reassuring.
Well, it's every agency, and a lot of things, they even passed retroactive to January, and they passed it in April. And we're in the middle of tax season, for me,
Yeah.
but that was my agency, but I know that DOE is the same way.
Yeah.
So they're just trying to figure it out.
I think we got such a large number that the parents are already wired into making sure that they do it, so.
Yeah, I think so. I think you're, yeah, we
They've been,
wonder.
somebody was asking on the community page yesterday about if we were having the free school supply backpack program
That's
again.
this weekend.
And within 20 minutes, 7 people were
Uh-huh.
like telling her it's at the middle school at 10
Great,
a.m. and
great, yeah.
So,
People are
you
good
know,
about
our
getting the word,
population
yeah.
that utilizes those programs, they're pretty into it.
And I hope when we add to the bottom of the letter that, you know, we would ask them to complete the form.
Yeah.
Because we think some federal funding might be tight. Hopefully they'll respond to that. Because my concern is when they see that it's free, that they will think, well, there's really no reason for me to do it, but hopefully they will.
Yeah. And we're just thrilled that we can offer that free breakfast and lunch this year.
Yeah, and 95% reimbursed. I mean, it's huge for us.
This is all, Brian took the lead on all this and just did a great job navigating us through this. It's just a wonderful thing for the community.
Does anybody have any other questions about the employment recommendations? And could I get a motion?
Well, I was going to
approve?
mention too, Chance, that
Sorry?
we started to put on there all of the ECA positions for you to
I was
approve yearly.
shocked. I had no idea there were that many.
So
I mean,
those
it
are
was
just
page after
positions that
page.
are being re-recommended for continued employment since they're 1 year.
Yeah.
So that it helps us to keep it straight in the personnel department so that we know who's filling these positions. So any of them that aren't filled are ones that are open, and those will be filled through recommendations to you for hiring.
Wow, I was shocked there were that many.
Yeah, there's quite a few.
Yeah, wouldn't even think it, but, yeah.
Well, yeah, because really, we only see that when we sign the contracts.
That's right.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, it
yeah.
really should be approved in this way.
And you're
So,
just,
yeah,
you know, signing through them.
that was great.
Could I get a
Good
motion
finance.
to approve those employment recommendations? Beth,
Second.
Rob, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Dr. Hammock?
All right, so in Julie and my report in your packet, Julie, at the very back, just in case if you missed it, Julie mapped out for all of us the fact that we are rolling into that budget process. So we are in July and August. We are completing our budget preparation and having all the budget information entered into Gateway, which is of course that public platform where folks are able to see that process. And then of course our CPF and bus replacement plans will be completed during these next 2 months. So tonight, all that the board is asked to do is to formally approve the advertisement of the 2024 budget. That kicks off the timeline that then is I can read through this, but I imagine I don't need to do that, but you can refer in your packet to the timeline. In September, we'll have our public hearing. In October, we'll have our adoption hearing. And then in December, the DLGF finalizes that budget. So it's just a step-by-step process that we do from month to month. Julie has it all mapped out for us, but wanted to make sure that if you had any questions for Julie or for me, that you could get those answered at this time. We're just formally kicking off the process.
Can we do this without going through the administrator stuff that we pushed to
Yes,
August?
yeah, absolutely, yeah. Yeah, there's no negative impact of having our administrator contract renewals next month. Yeah, no implications at all.
Oh,
Then-
good.
Everything's just status quo.
Then I move to advertise the 2024 budget.
I'll second. Tara, second. Thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do you need to talk about the calendar?
No, because this is just the formal action for you to modify that date for the eclipse on April the 8th, 24.
Do you guys have any other questions about the calendar? Then let's get a motion to modify that.
I move we modify the 23-24 calendar to
April?
include April 8th.
I'll second. Tara, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Tom?
Good evening. Just want to highlight a couple of things. our bus inspection went about 1 million times better than it did last year. Every bus passed on the day of the inspection.
Yeehaw.
They pulled 2 out that had very minor things, and they cite you for things like stickers in the wrong place. So it can be something as simple as that. So they ran those 2 buses back through, and we passed 100%. That's, we didn't do very well last year. Also, just highlight that Misty Mack was elected as an at-large candidate to the Indiana State Transportation Association. So all of her colleagues around the state recognize what a quality director she is, and it's a feather in her cap and one in our cap as well. At South Grove, we have run into a little bit of a hiccup with the installation of the new rooftop unit. We have to add some controls to that, and all of our units are controlled under a proprietary system with Performance Services. So we are kind of negotiating with them right now about what that final cost should be. We're in a little bit of a pinch because school starts real quick. So we're working with them on that. We also have some issues with the Hornet Park cafeteria flooring. There's some pitting and bubbling in it. Jack Laurie, who was the subcontractor, came today and pulled up a couple tiles and looked at it. So I would imagine that Jerry Rolfson and I will be having a conversation about those couple of items here in the next week or so, and figure out where we go on that. Our maintenance guys this is one of the first summers in quite some time. We haven't had a bunch of stuff going on. So they're knocking out work orders that have been sitting over here in La La Land because they haven't had time. But this summer they're working real hard. So that's about it for operations.
So nice to get ahead of the game, isn't
Yeah.
it?
It is. Last summer was really, really stressful, not only for Hornet Park and their staff, but for our staff
And it
as well.
stinks to have to start your year like that.
Well, yeah, we were the day before school started.
It was
and
awful.
Moving,
Yeah.
finding stuff, and it's been a nice summer in that regard.
Thanks, Tom.
What, because I hate performance service. Oh, good.
Shocking, shocking.
The new system, we didn't buy it from performance service, right?
So the new rooftop unit, we used SCS as our general contractor, and we hired O'Maguire and Shook, which is now OMS, as the architect. And the new unit is from Oklahoma. And we were led to believe that it was plug and play. It turns out that it is not.
Right, that's what I wanted everybody to know, that SES actually owes us something for this.
So I'm meeting with the owner and Jim on Thursday morning. There needs to be some accountability from somebody. But I will tell you, the quote from PSI is high.
Right? But the thing about it is
figured
what I
it'd be
wanted everybody to
outrageous
understand is
anyway.
this wasn't on our staff at all.
No, not at all.
This other company came in and said, this system here is great, basically. You're plug and play, you're good to go. Craned it, put it up there, and it's a completely different system.
So we had, in May of last year of '22, we met with the general contractor, the architect, and then all of the architect's engineers. because the scope of the project was originally much larger. And as we studied our ESSER funding, that scope narrowed. But at that point, I mean, this room full of people should have recognized the specs on this Anon unit from
Right.
Oklahoma and been able to anticipate that that was a problem.
Yeah, I just want, when the final number gets revealed, that everybody knows this was not on our staff.
Did you get the actual unit that they recommended? I mean,
So, yeah, it's an American-made unit, all-American, again, out of Oklahoma. It's not a name, it's not what you would see around here. It's not a Carrier, it's not a York, it's not that. But we decided that it was worth trying. And we would have had similar problems with any other unit.
Why is that?
Well, to your point, it should have been spec'd out properly. Because I'm not an HVAC expert. The HVAC engineers that worked for the architect should have
You have to
recognized
trust them.
this. So,
Yeah, absolutely.
you have to.
Like I
Would
said,
you pay them for it?
It was not our guys.
So, yeah.
Well, hopefully that'll get fixed promptly.
Well, it's going to get fixed. It's just a matter of
Let's hope it
how
will.
much.
How much?
How much.
And I'm not
And-
hot seating you, I just wanted to help cushion the blow.
No, I understand.
That they
and-
know what's going on.
And we're a little bit behind the eight ball. No, we're a lot behind the eight ball because now we're going to have to litigate the price after the work is done.
Yeah. But
Because
they shouldn't be asking you for more money than what they originally quoted you in the
We-
first place.
I totally
No.
agree.
Doesn't matter.
Performance Service has to fix SES's problem.
Right.
So we're going to have to pay Performance Service and then ask for money back from SES from either when they installed it or some kind of money back. But we're locked into having to have Performance Service do the work because of the system.
Yeah, these control systems, from what I understand, are all proprietary, so they're all one-offs. After you get past the initial RFP and they get into this, whether it's Precision is who we used to have when I was at the middle school years ago, it was the same thing. They're the only ones that can work on it. They're the only ones that can install it.
Business.
So Brent and Dale and I talked about a long-term strategy when some of this debt starts falling off in 2, 3, 4 years, that we need to be ready to maybe make a change, if at all possible.
Into a full turnover.
It could be positive, it could get better in the next 3 years.
It could, yeah.
So we're gonna end up making a claim against the bond for performance services or the bond, just the performance bond for SES?
We're not that far along in this because Brent, I think, got the quote last Wednesday or Thursday. So the wheels are kind of set in motion, and I will keep you updated.
It's always something.
Oh, yeah.
It is.
Okay, well, let's do these together, if you guys don't care. Let's make a motion to approve the minutes and the claims. Is that all right for everybody? And make it a one-stop shop?
I'll move that, we do those together.
Beth?
I'll second that motion.
April? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Jill, C9.
C9, where the building is moving along, and they're starting to fill empty spaces since, we voted on the budget last month. So not everything's filled, and all the places are filled yet. We're still looking for a welding instructor, but hopefully that will take place soon. Dr. Kovach was the outgoing president of the professional organization that sort of is of Vocational High School Association. He was the outgoing president. The person that was taking over for him has left the profession, and they asked him to serve for another year. So it's sort of nice that he's doing well and is recognized nationally as a leader. That reflects well on C9. We'll be doing his annual review next month, and other than that, it's all moving along pretty well. I mean, that meeting's Thursday, so I don't have the newest, freshest stuff. This is just the information from the Friday updates he sends out. Okay?
Okay. Anything else for the good of the cause? Because this is a quick meeting.
We got plenty for you on the other side.
We're so excited.
Might be our record.
So who would like to make a motion to adjourn?
I'll make that motion to
Okay.
adjourn.
Tara and Rob, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, good evening, thank you.
Thank you.